To talk about a topic that I don't become popular when I talk about, and it has to do with alcohol. Uh, Alcohol is one of those things that most people do not realize the impact that it has on health. Most people don't talk about the impact that alcohol has on blood sugar. Actually has impact on blood sugar similar to eating candy and eating sweets and eating starches and things like that. And so it's especially important to talk about this. And since we've been talking a lot about metabolic health lately and about the studies that have shown that 92% of the population is metabolically unwell, I decided that I wanted to do a few videos on basically the elephant in the room. Alcohol is a serious, dangerous, and addictive drug. It is more addictive than cocaine. It is more dangerous than some of the others, like cocaine, and kills more people. Yet it is socially acceptable. It's a socially acceptable for people to go out and have a few drinks, sometimes too many. And alcoholism is a serious problem in our society. Most people don't even realize the serious impact that that little glass of wine to unwind at the end of the day is having on their blood sugar, on their metabolism, and also on their overall immune health. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, how serious is the blood sugar and alcohol connection? Let's find out. So, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Rita Marie Loscalzo, and this is a channel where we explore serious health issues and issues that can make changes in your life. We help health and wellness practitioners to amass the tools they need to really truly help people get well and get out of the this for that symptom approach mentality that most of them have, because that's what they were taught in medical school. So let's get started. So alcohol, it's socially accepted, right? Actually, most people who don't drink kind of get a little bit questions and cross-examined oftentimes in public. Oh, are you an alcoholic? Why don't you drink? Oh, a little bit won't hurt you if you're not an alcoholic. Come join us. And it's just such a socially accepted drug, but it truly is a drug, and it has serious, serious side effects. Today, we're going to talk specifically about its effect on blood sugar and metabolism, on metabolic health. But I just want to throw this thing in here. I've been listening to a book, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more about that over the next few weeks. But they talked about how even women who drink modestly, like 3 drinks or less per week, have an increased risk of breast cancer by 14%. So the next time you go to sip that glass of wine at the end of the day because you think it's going to be helpful, keep that in mind. Like I said, my views on alcohol are not very popular because I'm recommending that people review the research, and I personally made the choice to abstain. I wasn't always a teetotaler. I have been in the throes of where I drank too much in my teens. Wine was abundant in my household growing up because we were an Italian family, and you always had a glass of Chianti or red wine of some sort at the table with our pasta meals. And it wasn't kept from the kids. We were allowed to have sips here and there. And as teenagers, we learned how to have more than sips when the parents turned their back. And so I started using too much alcohol when I was in my teens. But it was the innocent stuff, right? You go down to the park with your friends, you get drunk, you wobble your way home. We weren't driving at the time. We weren't really putting anybody in danger except ourselves. So I'm not like I've always been, that boring non alcohol drinking person. But once I learned what it does to the body, once I learned its impact on my own health, on my own well being, on my energy levels, on my midsection, I quickly gave it up. And I'm not telling you should give it up, but I'm going to just share with you some of the facts. So today we're going to talk about some of the facts related to blood sugar. So alcohol in non-diabetic people, right? It doesn't have to be in just diabetics. In non-diabetic people as well, will interfere with the process called gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. Genolysis. So it's basically the breakdown of the glycogen stores in the body to produce energy, which is why in some cases what happens is you drink, your body cannot use that as fuel. It's not really nutritious, but it's sugar. It causes glucose to go up. It causes the insulin to go way up, causes the glucose to come way down. And then people get into that like stupor kind of tripping and falling over themselves because the body can't make new glucose to make up for that. So alcohol is like fructose in the body. Alcohol is like glucose in the body, where it causes a rapid rise in blood sugar, but then it causes a rapid drop in blood sugar. That's not good. And when we have that rise in insulin level, insulin's a fat storage hormone. So it contributes to that midsection growth, which is not very good. It also makes your blood sugar go up because it's treated like sugar in the body. And especially if you drink alcohol on an empty stomach, which a lot of people do, right? They go out to a bar after work, have a little bit of wine or a couple of beers or shots or whatever, and there's not a lot of food in the stomach. So it causes that rapid rise in blood sugar. It interferes with mitochondrial function. It interferes with how the mitochondria function to produce your energy. It interferes with B vitamins. It gets in the way of the metabolism and the processing of B vitamins, which are super important for turning food into energy for the cells. Here's the other thing. When you drink alcohol, it can slow down the ability of your body to mobilize fat. Right? Your body can't go and say, oh, we need some storage. We need to break this down. No, it interferes with that. So it can cause those, what do we call that? A beer belly, right? A lot of guys have the big beer belly, women too. That beer belly is actually dangerous fat, not subcutaneous fat so much, right? Usually it's hard. It's fat around the organs. It's visceral fat. And so that beer belly phenomenon has to do with the impact of alcohol on blood sugar and metabolic health. Fructose is a sugar that we find high fructose corn syrup. It's pulled from those places. It's extracted. In that way, it actually works like alcohol in the body. It goes right to the liver. When the alcohol reaches the liver, it can cause the accumulation of fat around the liver. So have you ever heard of fatty liver? Alcohol consumption can cause fatty liver, right? So it raises uric acid levels in your body. Uric acid is super important in maintaining healthy blood sugar. And we see that a lot in folks who have elevated blood sugars, dysregulation, metabolic imbalances. And we see that in people who have elevated uric acid, or that it leads to elevated uric acid. And uric acid is what we associate with gout. You ever hear of that? Gout, men who drink a lot of wine, eat a lot of steak, end up with gouty deposits, especially in the big toe, but it can affect any joint in the body. So this alcohol thing, this little innocent cup of wine at the end of the day, can cause real havoc in the system. And I just wanted to introduce you to some of the impacts on the things that we care about, right? 92% of the population is metabolically unwell. And every time you slug down that glass of wine, it's impacting it. I run a program called the Sweet Spot Solution, and we run this to help people to get their blood sugars and insulin levels under control, to control their hemoglobin A1C and the stiffness of their arteries. And a lot of people say, well, I'm going to be testing my sugars and seeing what I need to eliminate, but do I really have to give up the wine? And what we find is that in some people, we don't actually see that immediate rise in blood sugar because they don't test it quickly enough. It goes up, causes a rapid rise in insulin, and then it comes way down. So they're not realizing the metabolic impact, but it's a serious metabolic impact. It affects vitamin B12 absorption, Vitamin B12 is super important for energy production, for DNA repair, for red blood cell synthesis, and also for the peripheral nerves, how we have fingers and toes. And when we have B12 deficiencies, we end up with neuropathies, B12 neuropathies. So similar to how we can get neuropathies related to diabetes, related to blood sugar imbalance. So it's really, really important that we limit the amount of alcohol that you're taking in. That, following the guidelines of yes, it's good for you, there's a lot of stuff they're not telling you. And I will share that on some other videos. So like I said, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like to come across as the party pooper and all that. But I care about health. I care about your health. I care about my health. I care about the health of our children. And children are starting to drink alcohol and become alcohol dependent very, very young, very young. Alcohol is a very addictive drug. Alcohol causes way more deaths than cocaine or other drugs, other street drugs that were, the war against drugs, but we're not having the war against alcohol. It's socially acceptable, yet it is a poison that's affecting your metabolism, that's affecting your liver health, that's affecting your body in so many ways. And like I said earlier, increasing cancer risk. So if you're caring about your metabolic health, if you want to shift and be in that other 8% of the metabolically healthy people, consider letting the alcohol go. So I'm Dr. Rita Marie Loscalzo. Comment below what your thoughts are. I have a lot of haters by now because everybody likes to have their little glass of wine. I used to love to have my glass of wine, but I have learned to put my health first. Don't have the wine anymore. Don't have the beer anymore. I take care of me first. When I find out something that's hurting me, I stop it. And I would love that for you as well, especially those who are listening who are in our Sweet Spot Solution program. Sure, you can test it, but during that 30-day metabolic reset where we're going to help you to reset your insulin receptors, don't drink wine, don't drink beer. Let's give it up. Okay? So thank you so much. Comment below. Let us know what you think, and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Facebook, follow. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.